the long saga of crunch time in video game development in the last few years, I have come across yet another one here. We've got Naughty Dog is coming under fire with some... I don't even know if it's... I wouldn't say under fire. It's just that their crunch time has come to light. It's... with the latest game that they've got coming up, which is the Last of Us 2, right? That's the one that's coming, I think in May, I believe it's supposed to launch. That's the latest one to come up. It was, who was it? Jason Schreier from Kotaku, who just has been breaking everything lately. As much as everyone hates Kotaku, he seems to be the guy with all the fucking insiders in every business. Of the 20 non-lead designers that worked on The Last of Us 2, 70% of them quit.
Damn.
That's some serious turnover, to say the least. And then according to employees, while the game is very good, it's coming at a massive and seemingly unsustainable cost for the developer. Obviously, 70% turnover is a tad high to have to deal with. And that was touched on a bit by an ex-animator that was working at Naughty Dog, who laid out his reasoning for why he left the company himself, and then and is actually, of all places, going to EA. So I don't know how much better it's going to be there, but sometimes you just got to get out of your environment, and that's what he seems to be doing. So he's got a whole series of friggin' tweets here. I'll focus on kind of the back half of them because it really goes over the environment of how this game is actually coming to completion. He said, this is coming from Jonathan Cooper. He said, the reason I left is because I only want to work with the best. That is no longer Naughty Dog. Their reputation for crunch within LA is so bad it was nearly impossible to hire seasoned contract game animators to close out the project. As such, we loaded up on film animators instead. While super talented, they lack the technical and design know-how to assemble scenes. Similarly, the design team ballooned with juniors. So what he means by that is like junior staff, not senior programmers or animators, but fresh greenhorns to make up for the attrition of key roles. So that 70% loss we were talking about. Every aspect of finishing this game took much longer due to the lack of game experience on the team. So don't get me wrong, these kids are mostly awesome and the best were great. It's just that when the junior to senior ratio is at a balance, things can really grind to a halt, and more time is spent training than actually working, which is true. You can have really, really amazing kids at a school. Ultimately, they don't have experience. They're going to need to be trained in spots, and that does slow down stuff. And when you have such a high turnover and a bad ratio of senior developers or senior animators or senior anything to fresh talent, that's true. That does come to a grinding halt more often than not. He says contract work is a huge part of the LA ecosystem to ship large games. Unlike game design, there is a thriving animation industry here, and seasoned animators can often choose their projects. Most of the contract story animators quit last year. Those that didn't, or those that don't, can be at Naughty Dog for 2 to 3 projects with pauses in between, and while paid overtime, never receive benefits or security, or the security of a full-time gig. This is the way the industry is moving, so workers need more protection rather than the carrot of a full-time job, one day kind of thing. There are Naughty Dog stories worse than this, but like everything on my Twitter, I'm focusing on animation. For The Last of Us 2 fans, the game should turn out great with industry-leading animation. I would just not recommend anyone work at Naughty Dog until they prioritize talent retention. Ultimately, this is the last one. This was kind of this is scathing. Ultimately, Naughty Dog's linear games have a formula, and they focus test the shit out of them. While talented, their success is due in large part to Sony's deep pockets, funding delays rather than skill alone. A more senior team would have shipped The Last of Us 2 a year ago. So,
damn, he airing out all the dirty laundry.
But I mean, but he's not like shitting on him the whole way through. And I don't think that's unrealistic. Like if we're looking at 70% turnover in the animators alone, and you're talking about bringing in basically baby faces into the company that need to be trained, I could totally see why that would tack an extra year on to the development of a game of the magnitude of The Last of Us 2, right?
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Now, why that poor man chose to go to EA, I don't know. I mean, EA has been doing better lately, but hot damn.
I mean, Yeah, yeah. Like
I guess
the
it depends
simple,
on where within EA
bro,
he's
you're
being
looking to,
placed.
bro. You're looking to get absolutely dummied online when you're going out talking about Naughty Dog,
Yeah.
and then you're going, oh, by the way, I'm going to EA. I mean, you pretty much are setting yourself up for
Yeah.
somebody to make a rebuttal so big and so long that you
Well,
actually regret going
yeah.
to EA before you actually go to EA, right? But and that's just all jokes aside. But I mean, at least he's saying, hey, you guys are still getting an awesome game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It is funny that he talked about, he kind of took a shot about the linear game formula, and he kind of took a shot at the deep pockets that Sony has to keep funding these delays. That those are some hits. Like,
It's not,
those are,
but it's not inaccurate, right? It's not
it's
like
not
he's
inaccurate.
just, yeah,
No, it's not. I'm not saying it's inaccurate, but
Yeah.
those are gut punches.
yeah, for
Those
sure.
are like, hey, yo, someone did me dirty back there, and I'm going to say something, but I'm going to say it in an articulate way so that you can't say, like, what the fuck, because it's true, but I'm still going to take my punch. And he took him.
Yeah,
He gave him the 1-2.
yeah, exactly.
And Naughty Dog is still going to sell the fuck out of The Last of Us.
Oh, of course.
That game is going to sell like hotcakes
Of course it
at
is.
McDonald's.
Of course it is, and he's not unaware of that. I mean, I don't think he's out here trying to make them look bad necessarily.
No.
I think he's just being being honest about the situation, and this is not a new thing. Obviously, there are a number of companies in the last few months that have, or in the last year even more so, that have been dragged out far worse than this. I mean, this is mild in comparison to like Rockstar or some of the other companies that have been hammered, Blizzard, that have been absolutely hammered with this kind of like ex-employee stuff. So this was as level-headed as they come. But yeah, we're gonna get The Last of Us 2 very soon. It's gonna come up in May, and like he said, and I believe him, the game is probably going to be really good, and nothing but look forward to it, basically.
Yeah.
It's just look forward to it. Just know that it came. He actually, somewhere else, I can't remember where it was, but somewhere else, I can't remember if it was the article or not, but they discussed, I think it might have been further up in his tweets, where there are people being sent to the hospital for exhaustion on overwork, and that they still hadn't come back to work since. And this was like a couple months ago. So it is, and you always get the two sides of the coin. You'll have people show up that are game developers in these Twitter threads that will say, that's just the industry. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. And then other people going, well, that's kind of the fucking dumb statement to make. Because if that's the case, you're going to lose a lot of really amazing talent just because you don't want to admit the fact that you're...
Yeah, I mean, it's a double... I agree. But it is a double-edged sword. Like, it's one of those things where there is truth to that, where you are in a specific type of industry that does require you to really put in some long hours at crunch time or at certain times, like to the point where you're going to be exhausted. But let's not pretend that this isn't the only industry that happens.
No, that doesn't make it right.
No, but it happens in the healthcare industry. You know, if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, it happens in the construction world. It happens in programming. Well, I mean, video game stuff. The reality is I agree. Yeah, I don't think anybody should be driven to the point of, they're passing out at work and they're going to be hospitalized and things like that. That's extreme. But there are going to be weeks. It's the same thing as streaming, dude. Like, let's just keep it real. If you ain't got what it takes to put in 60-hour weeks, 70-hour weeks at times, maybe even more, to really make a name for yourself in streaming, it means you ain't got what it takes. And yeah, to a lot of people, that is extremely unhealthy. Like when you got to walk outside on your patio and stand and look at the sun for 5 minutes to feel human. Yeah, but you know what though? I know it's a bit of an extreme because we're going through some shit right now. But the reality is, dude, you got to eat your meals in front of the computer. You got to take away time from family and friends. Relationships get hurt. Your mental gets hurt. That's why there's a streamer that goes under streamer depression every other month. People have nervous fucking breakdowns. It's isolating. And the reality is, dude, if you want to be in this industry and you want to be successful and you want to really make it. That's what the reality is, man. There is no such thing as a 30 or 40 hour work week if you really want to thrive in this industry. And I'm going to assume, because I'm not in the industry of making video games, it's probably very similar. If you want to be with the best of the best, the big companies, you want to be in that environment, there are going to be times where you are overworked, you're busting your ass, you're exhausted, you just want to fucking go home, you just want a day, you want a couple of days, you just want to be left to your own devices. And when somebody says that's just part of the industry, I'm inclined to believe it's probably part of the industry. And the reality is, if I'm not willing to stream 70 hours a week or 60 hours a week, somebody else will, and somebody else will take that viewer. Somebody else will take that sub. Somebody else will get that view. And if you're not willing to program at this company or that company for 60, 70 hours a week, there is somebody that will. There is somebody that'll come in. There's somebody that'll do it, and you'll lose your job. Does it make it any better? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make it right. But the reality is, certain industries, that's just that's the way the cookie crumbles. But once again, I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit on that. And Adam has gone quiet.
All right, we're back.
All right,
Sorry.
welcome back.
You didn't go anywhere. They caught all of you. Don't worry. They caught all of you. Don't worry. The Adobe Audition recording from my end, for no apparent reason, just died. So what we'll do is, and if you're listening to this, is all that's going to end up happening is I'm just going to take the audio from the video, which isn't going to sound amazing.
We'll be fine.
But nobody's going to give a fuck.
We're going to survive.
We will survive.
It's Corona times.
It's Corona time.
It's Corona times.
It's technical. It's technical Corona. It's the new name of the show.
Technical Corona.
Technical Corona.
Boom.
No, less editing work for Adam, actually. I just had to pop the audio and we're good to go. But yeah, so
I can just stop recording the audio on
yes,
my side?
you can do that, yeah.
All right. So anyway, that's my 2 cents about everything.
Yeah. It's true. I think a lot of that, I think a lot of that is I think in some of the industries that you just mentioned and stuff, and even in our own industry, I think that the culture of work, especially in North America, I can't speak of other places. The culture of work in North America is pretty fucking toxic in general. There's there's the culture of work is basically work until you die, work until your eyes bleed, and that's the only way to get ahead. And the reason why that's the case is because that's well,
it's really one of the only ways to get ahead.
It's because it's kind of been the culture has kind of forced the economy in that direction, and it's just resulting in like super unhealthy work. And the irony is that people are getting paid like dick squat in comparison to what is needed to just get ahead in life or even make it by in life in a lot of cases. And if there's one thing that this whole like pandemic situation is doing, is it's bringing to light just how stupid and useless a lot of shit is in terms of the working economy, and how much could change and how much better people's lives could be, and still everyone else would be just fine. There's a lot of things being brought to light because of it, but it's true. We'll see. I'm not against crunch time. I am against crunch time for like fucking 12 straight months. That's not crunch time anymore. Crunch time usually, means that you're going for like, let's say the last quarter of a year. Let's say the last 4 months. You're really giving her right before the launch of the game. That's what crunch time used to mean. Now crunch time is like, the game comes out in 2 years. Let's go. And it's like fucking, it's like 24 straight months of just unmanageable workloads.
I find people that are in artistry, and I consider animation art. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
And a lot of these guys are probably like contract workers. So, and he even kind of mentioned it in his Twitter, where they can pick and choose the work, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily like, I'm sure there are where Naughty Dog or EA can buy out an artist that they love and put them on contract for so many years, or offer a position or whatever. But I'm sure a lot of them it's just contract work. It's just, you're really fucking talented at this specific thing. We would love to hire you for a project. I think whenever you are an entrepreneur, because that's what a contract worker is essentially. You're an entrepreneur. You have your own little business. You got to worry about your own benefits and do all this other stuff. For a lot of times, I know there are blends and things like that, but I find entrepreneurs and people that are artists, we're talking musicians, actors, streamers, animators, you are expected naturally to be putting in more hours and more work than the average person does at a 9 to 5, simply because you're breaking the mold. If you want to do your dream job, you want to be an artist, you want to do the thing that you're passionate about. I feel as though as an entrepreneur, I shouldn't say you don't have the right to complain about the hours, because there is a time and place, and you do need to vent, and you still need to have some sort of health. But most of the successful, most of the entrepreneurs that go around and speak like, oh, take care of your health comes first, and it's true, but most of those people are already successful, and they've deteriorated their health for so long, and now they're finally in a position where they can finally start taking care of their health. So they kind of preach it after the fact, but if you ask a lot of them, yeah, shit, my health went to dog shit. I did nothing but work enslaved. My relationships went to shit. Everything went to shit. It was tough. I grinded. It was hard. And then after they finally have this level of success, financially or wherever they're at in life, then they want to start putting health first. Get that personal trainer, put yourself on, all the things, me time, vacation. A lot of the time is when you're doing this type of work, unfortunately, it does come part of the benefits of doing the thing you love and not doing the regular 9 to 5 that a lot of people do. A lot of people need that structure. Be at work at 9 a.m., finish at 5, have your break at 3, lunch is at 12. You only get 30 minutes. You get a 15-minute at 3 o'clock. Your paycheck's on Thursday. This is how many hours you're getting. These are the days you have off. A lot of the time, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're in these types of industry, there is none of that shit. Get in here, bust your ass. You've got a job to do, get it done. And if you don't do it, somebody else is going to jump in, and somebody else is going to be just as hungry. It could be younger, could be more motivated, whatever the case may be, or just willing to sacrifice more. And sadly, you're not rewarded by complaining. You're not rewarded by going to the boss and saying, hey, I put in a 70-hour week. I got a birthday coming up. I was really hoping I could get some. They're going to go, dude, shut the fuck up. Because the last time I looked, I got Joe Blow behind you just killing to take your position. They just want to take it. So if I were you, I wouldn't say nothing and get the job done. It's a sad way of looking at it. I know it's harsh, but man, that is just the industry and the world we live in. Sadly, that's just it.
That's true.
This is what you sign up for.
That's true.
And if you don't like it, don't go in this industry. There are so many people. We see it even, I know I keep going back to streaming because it's my career, but we see so many young cats, 17, 18 years old, or even adults. We're talking like 30-year-olds that are like, dude, I can't stand my job. I want to start streaming. It's like, man, do you really understand the sacrifice that you have to put in? It's insane. I see it all the time on Twitter. People are like, dude, I fucking put in 60 hours this week. I made $300. I put in 60 hours this week. I made $10,000. Whatever the case may be. But the reality is, if you want to be successful, you have to put in the fucking work. And yeah, you can complain about it to a degree, but you have to know what you're getting yourself into. You want the easy route? You want the Saturday and Sunday off? You want the 9 to 5 and your evenings off? You want your evenings and weekends? Stay out of that industry. It ain't for you, bro. Or bust your ass for 20 years, become a god at what you do, move your way up into position, and then be the overlord that oversees everybody. And then you can have your freedom. But until then, do something else, man. By the sounds of it, bro, what I'm hearing as of late, and I know I know it's a hot take. I know it's a hot take, and I'm sorry for those who get offended. But what I've been hearing a lot in this gaming industry is a lot of people can't stand the fucking heat. They get out the kitchen. The industry ain't going to change for you. The margins are smaller. The competition is heavier. Stay the fuck out the kitchen if you can't stand the heat. And the ones that are hungry and want it, go in because it's shark-infested waters and there's a lot of guppies in the ocean, and it's your job to go in there and rip the food from underneath them because there's plenty of opportunity for those that want to put in the work. That's the way that that's what I'm hearing. A lot of crying as of late. There's a lot of crying going on. And the reality is, man, if you're in a position, you bust your ass in university and college, and you're talented at this, go in and get it done. Put in your work.
I don't disagree. I don't 100% disagree. I don't 100% agree, but I don't 100% disagree.
I know it's a little extreme, and
there's always a spot for people who are literally willing to throw themselves off a cliff with no parachute and go, hey, pretty good chance that if I hit the ground, I'm gonna survive this shit. I don't know how well I'm gonna survive it, but if I do survive it, shit's gonna be dope. I'm gonna fucking make it. I just need to survive this one massive free fall and impact, and if I get out the other side in well, we can't say one piece, but if we can stay to like 4 or 5 pieces, okay. That's good. That's okay. There's always room for that in any industry, even a 9-to-5 job. You can suck enough dick and brown nose enough ass in a 9-to-5 job and just do everything that you could possibly imagine to get up that corporate ladder, climb that corporate ladder, do whatever. There's always room for that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. The counter to that is often, should it even be necessary in the vast majority of cases? And the data, so not trying to be as objective about it as possible, the data would likely say that no, it's not. There are so many people that are getting paid such enormous amounts of money, let's say in the business world, whereby they and I'm not talking about CEOs. I mean, I'm talking like middle managers or even not even to middle management, because that gets cut a lot. Like just any fucking, like, you could pick almost any job: accounting, finance, economics, management, otherwise, whereby people are doing almost dick and they're getting paid as much as somebody in the same position doing 80% of the work. It's the classic 80-20 rule. 20% of the people are doing 80% of the fucking work.
And it's like that at 9-to-5s.
That's what I'm talking about right. That's what I'm talking about right now. Right? That's what I'm talking about. So there's always room to bust your ass. The problem is that there is, for so many people, there is no reward on the other side. There is no nothing. You can bust your ass all you want, and so the argument that people are making is that there should be more protection for people, because the talent is basically, because people at the top know that that's how the system works. Management knows that 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. And they know that there are people that will try and look at it like your mindset that you were just describing there about get out there, be hungry, shark-infested waters, guppies, fucking like people off a boat saying we're going to need a bigger boat. Where's my spear gun? Like there's like, they know though those people are there and they're another cog to be put in the wheel, and they can be bust out, and they know that they can, all that they do at the top is make even more money off of people getting more work done for the same pay as the person that was there before. And that's a problem in the system. That is a baked in part of the extreme.
He did say there that they were getting paid overtime. In that tweet.
Getting paid overtime, yes, for contract work, because it would be baked into the contract for hours put in, because a contract work.
I mean, that's always a good thing. If a company's willing to pay you overtime, for the time that you're putting in, you're getting paid, time and a half or double time.
But they're going to cap it. They're not just going to say, hey, go do whatever you want and then bill us for the hours. Like, it's not going to fucking work that way, that's for sure. The overtime comes as they say, we need you, look, this is what you got done and it's good, but we need this done now, and it wasn't originally part of the contract. This is over over and above the contract, so you're going to get paid more for that section or that work, which is fine. But what they're also not getting is benefits or anything else.
Well, that's
a standard
contract.
employee.
I mean,
exactly.
that's just.
But
that
what's
isn't just-
happening?
that's
But
every
what he's bearing to light here is that in his neck of the woods in California, in Silicon Valley, that's becoming more and more of that is the industry's contract work, so that companies don't have to pay any of that shit, and they just do contract work, because this is like gig economy where the people at the top are abusing the workforce. Again, harkening back to like you were saying, there's always somebody who's going to be there and hungry to go get it and get it done. But that's abuse to the people who are hungry to go get it and get it done, because they're basically it's
they're
bordering.
thriving. If they're thriving, then if they're getting the work and they're thriving and they're working their way up and they're being recognized.
But in contract work, there is no working up. Like he said, you get to in his neck of the woods, you get to basically choose who you work for. That's not so people can bounce between projects.
Of course. But I mean, different companies pay different things, and depending on the person and their specific skill set, they can counter. I mean, when you do contract work, it's like, hey, this is what I'm offering you. This you can either counter or accept it, and so on and so forth. If you become one of the best on the team, or you become a guy that really knows what he's doing, or gal, you as a contract worker, you can demand a higher rate than what a typical rate would be. For example, if Adam's really good at making logos, and he can, because he's got proven work, he's got great work ethic, he gets shit done, he's known to get stuff done on time, he's known to want to crunch those extra hours when it's needed, and he's really good at what he does. You'll be able to say on your contract work, hey, my retainer is an extra 25% of what it normally would be. Or, hey, what would normally be an $80,000 job, Adam would charge 110.
Yeah.
So, people get rewarded for their efforts. And if they're not getting rewarded, then that's on the contract worker to, know their worth and, get what they're worth. Of course, the game company is probably or any company is going to try and get them for as low as humanly possible every time, and kind of lowball out. But I get what you're saying for sure. It is like that in the regular 9 to 5. Hell, when I used to work at like Empire Theaters or Old Navy and shit like that, dude, I'm not gonna lie, there'd be 20% of people that would be out there working, like legitimately working, and then 80% of the people sitting on their phones, out in the back taking smoke breaks, fucking off, doing nothing, just trying to look busy and waiting until their shift is over, which is what most people deal with on a regular basis, because they got lazy ass coworkers and they expect you to do everything. And the thing is, they get rewarded financially just as much as what you do, sadly.
Yes, exactly.
It's shitty.
And what that results in is just shit taking longer, costing more money, and then it perpetuates the problem of companies trying to lowball everyone because cost gets inflated and whatnot. Yep. So it's an oversight issue, and it extends a great way. But yeah, there you have it. Naughty Dog. Obviously, everyone would have already known that Naughty Dog would be. It's not like Naughty Dog was some sort of safe haven without crunch. No. If you're a top video game producing company, you do crunch, and you do crunch for long periods of time. They're no different. That's just another example for you.